Yeah, man. Sup, my purples? Welcome to the black hole. My name is Blessed Beats. Welcome to the here. Wait. Let's making a beat first. Let me tell you something. I've always wanted a real synthesizer. I've owned the only one real synthesizer, and that was a virtual analog, the System 1 by Roland before. The keys on that one were crap. The Moog has been a personal favorite of mine through generations of beats. You know, eras where my beats sounded a little bit different. The Moog has always been there, albeit in another shape or form. For example, my favorite, the Monarch by Native Instruments. My absolute favorite plug-in version of the Mini Moog. I also love the Arturia, Schumann-Ever is called, that other one, Moog that they made. That one is great too. Really, when it comes to recreating the sound, you can do it just fine with a computer ordinator device. But there's just something a little bit different about hardware. You really take a different approach when you're not in that dolful environment, you know what I'm saying? I am a pro dolful, but also I enjoy a pinch of that dawless jamming. So look, in the midst of all this controversy around Behringer, which I think is hilarious myself, not trying to get into that debate, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that it's a little bit, it's kind of funny. When they dropped the rip-off of the Model D, I wanted it, but also at the same time, when I have a synthesizer device, I want the keybed with it. So when the Poly D came out, they had my ears razor sharp. So now eventually I managed to save up for it, and I have it. Poly D is a kind of a sci-fi take on the Model D. It's the name, it says poly, right? So it's not monophonic, and it's rather a poly D. So it, like Tails in Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm saying how he has multiple tails, this one has multiple dicks. Poly D. I'm joking you, it stands for polyphonic, but it's not really polyphonic, it is paraphonic, and there's been some fuss about that. We'll get back into that later. It's not truly a polyphonic synthesizer, it is paraphonic. I'll show you just what that means later in the video. This build right here is solid as a motherfucker. The knobs are really nice to twist and turn. I mean, I would expect the lifetime expectancy to be a little bit shorter, for them to become flimsy, and that's something that you will take with a price like this. I'm fine with that, but right now it feels really pristine, really fine and dandy. These switches, they're just a joy to press, and these mushy squish buttons, they're probably the most satisfactory. Key bed right here, semi-cheap, but not at all close to the shit quality that the Roland System 1 has, for example, where it just feels like plasticky and scratchy and no cushioning at all. This one, it has a nice cushioning, it has some nice playability. Some people have complained about the pitch and mod wheel here being not super extra maximum good quality, but I think they're just fine. And you gotta love this. Look, it gradually increases the alien light when you pull it up. So that is definitely a pro in my book. Is this anything close to the original Mini Moog? I couldn't tell you. I never had one. I never even touched one. But it feels great. It sounds great. Let us make some sounds. I'm not going to talk about every single knob, switch, button, and feature of the Poly D. You can watch something like, I don't know, Bow Beats, Sonic State, Loop Up, something like that if you want to know every single component and feature about it. I will talk about, however, what I like and dislike about it. So, workflow integration number 1. The main purchase concern I had was there's no way to save presets on it. You cannot save your presets. So once you made a sound, all you can do is take a photo of the panel here. If somehow you have some magical master memory, you can remember the settings, make yourself back there by ear, or use one of these patch sheets included in the manual with the Poly D. But here's the charm about it. You already have all of these plugins with magnificent presets. You have the mini school that you purchased off the website that me and Cashman made for the Maschine Plus, for example. Plenty of plugins in there. You can save your own presets in that way. This bodes for an entirely different approach. It's a more experimental, more explorative approach. And I appreciate that, you know what I'm saying? Instead of loading up a piano preset to make a chord progression, you have a different starting point here. It's a sound exploration starting point. And you're just twisting these knobs, shaping the sound, and eventually you stumble across ideas that you just have to record. And you're going to record them then and there and then be happy with it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going back and tweaking them in all eternity in the post-process stage, you make something that evokes a feeling that you're fucking with and you record it, and that's that. And then you move on to make the next sound. And you make the next sound from your previous sound as a starting point. At least that's what I tend to do a lot. And I really like that way of working. I like to have different ways of working, and that is one very nice thing about the Poly D. Also, it's very shiny and pretty. I mean, I want to eat it. Related to this, there also comes a certain playability aspect that you don't tend to do when you're using a plugin on the computer. Having all of the knobs at your instant disposal right here in front of you, not being able to save the presets, you tend to, you know, come up with weird things as you go. Like, for example, you watch this example coming up right here. All of these oscillators are tunable instantly. So one thing you can do is actually play the synthesizer and play the oscillator tuning knob. Check them out. See, that is something I just don't tend to do when I'm using a plugin. The knob is right there in front of me. I'm playing it. I'm having fun experimenting. So we're still in mono mode here. You can switch it to 3 different modes. There's the mono, the uni mode, and the poly mode. We're still in the mono mode, and you don't necessarily need to tune these oscillators to the same tone. You could either detune them just slightly to get a very gnarly sound, or you could also tune one or more of the oscillators to a different pitch entirely and create sort of a chord in that way. Tune oscillator 3 to you know, a 4th or a 5th up or down and have some nice harmony in there. Take that one in the next part, and then we do this. And that generalmente is how the process goes for me personally. I'll play around until I stumble across that tickle in the groin that is the seed giving birth to a new creation, you know what I'm saying? And then I will use the Maschine and record it instantly. I don't bother personally with hooking it up to MIDI. I just record whatever I'm doing straight into the Maschine Plus, because since you can't save the presets, since it's not multi-timbral, I just think it's a really nice way to do it then and there and capture that moment, you know what I'm saying? That's how I do it. Let us see another example of that happening. see that? We're capturing the moment, going with the flow, and voila, we have created something new entirely. Where it fits also obviously in the workflow, it is great for lead sounds, for bass sounds, for plucks, for weird effects, anything that you want to add on to a beat that you're already working on. Almost anything will sound good. Polyphony thing. What does paraphonic mean? It means that all of the oscillators share the same filter and envelope. In practice, that means that every time you press a new note, the envelopes will be re-triggered. You'll see what happens right here. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't like that. I think you can make some rather unique sounds. Another con that people are complaining about when it comes to that is that it is hard to get them in the exact same tune. But this, for me, is exactly the beauty of it. You can get such a beautiful detuned sound that, you know what I'm saying, puts you in between, somewhere in the middle between reality and a rather surreal place. So the paraphonic feature, it's a plus for me. You see what I'm saying? If you're looking for a polyphonic synthesizer for your all-round polyphonic needs, I wouldn't get the Poly D for that purpose. I'd rather see this as a super monophonic synthesizer with supernatural abilities. We also have a rather handy sequencer and arpeggiator section down here, which, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't use this as my main sequencer, but plotting down some melodies or chord progressions here in the sequencer or using the ARP set to hold is a great way to have a melody running while you're experimenting more and shaping your sound. So that is a plus feature. If you're doing it completely randomly, just smashing keys, it can look something like this. And this is the end result of a rather more organized and thought out melody. Something else I rather enjoy about the Poly D, it is much like the original Mini Moog, the modulation possibilities. It's not like any modern synthesizer where you can route any envelope or LFO to any parameter, but it just works very well, and something I particularly enjoy about this. It is within your power, your decision to choose whether the oscillator or the filter envelope controls the modulation, or the LFO, which is your oscillator 4, your oscillator number 4 right here, doubles as the LFO. And you can also switch this little switch right here over to noise, and that will have your noise generator modulate the sound, and that gives you a really gnarly bite to your sound. Let us see some examples of this in action when I'm just playing around with modulation envelopes. This is part of the joy, the love, and the fun. You'll get stuck for hours sometimes just making weird noises. And you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the beauty of it. It's a very recreational process. Let's make one last beat and wrap it up, alright? Dangerous! Okay, my purples, I hope you enjoyed the show. This one right here, is here to stay. I highly recommend it, and for those that cannot afford it at the moment, I am working on a sample pack with some really rather nasty sounds. For you, patrons will get it for free, of course, within shortly. Check them out. If you want to support me, check my Patreon page out. Become an astronaut if you want more of this goodness. Join us in the Discord. Subscribe, ring that bell, the notification bell, and smash the like real hard. Thank you for watching, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.